Everybody, welcome to Channel Zero. I'm Clyde Lewis, again here taking the time to do a television show, our experimental television show that we've been working on, trying to perfect it, trying to do our best, and we're grateful for you for tuning in and listening to what I have to say today. It's it's interesting how when we do the program Ground Zero, which of course is heard on hundreds of stations across the country, and how we are the number one paranormal show, according to Paranormal Talk and the Paranormal app. It's funny how things time out. And I always think to myself that I'm not necessarily a victim of synchronicity, but certainly synchronicity seems to rear its head. And last night we were talking about these strange phone calls that people were getting about, 3 million have been tracked, 800,000 or so. No, 800,000 people have gotten these calls. About 3 million have been tracked, saying, stay home, be safe, stay home, sounding like something out of The Purge. Well, what's interesting is that a lot of callers to my show last night were saying that they were getting these calls. Some of them were really creepy, like they were being spied upon, and they were, and I said, it just seems like we are in the midst of a new Stasi police, kind of like what was seen in Berlin in the 1960s when we were dealing with the Cold War. And today, I just happened to be looking over my news notes, and apparently Harris County in Texas, the county near Houston, actually. Houston is actually in Harris County. They are now enforcing or foregoing gatherings for anyone beyond their own immediate households. And what they're doing is they're saying, you can't gather for Thanksgiving. And so what they're doing now, and apparently from what I see, 4.7 million texts went out to people who live in Harris County, Texas, being told, stay in your homes, don't go out, and you could be arrested and fined by what they call these representatives from the health department. Of course, they are certainly they're spying on people. It's a sophisticated form of contact tracing, and this is what we're dealing with right now in this country. And it's like, I don't know who's allowing it. I think these governors are allowing it. I think that, we're living in times now where these local authorities have decided to flex their muscles. And like I said, they're not going to be taking away, or we're not going to see that power being taken away from these governors, these mayors anytime soon. And we should have been on our guard in the beginning, but of course we were too terrified over COVID-19 to even think about doing something or blocking. I know that Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, their Supreme Court there, kept her from continuing these very draconian measures. But of course now, with evidence of an increase of COVID-19, we're seeing all these measures being pushed and pressed. Governor Inslee, of course, of Washington. We have Newsom there in California. We have, of course, Kate Brown here. DeWine in Ohio. I mean, I could go down the list of all of these representatives that have been pushing these issues to the point of you can't sing or even talk. They don't want you to talk out loud or sing. And of course, people writing me letters saying, well, what's wrong with that? I'm going, what's wrong with that? Okay. I think people have lost their ability to use discernment here. I remember back when I first spoke of Dark Winter, and I said that it would entail a number of obstacles, including a geoengineered storm or geoengineered winter weather, which of course started early. For me, of course, it started early September. Our temperatures began dropping here in the Pacific Northwest, and that began fairly early. It's because of the fires and the smoke. But of course, other things include a cyber attack that certainly seems like it's in the works right now. And of course, all of this is supposed to happen around Black Friday. And I had a discussion about Black Friday with one of my producers because he said he wanted it off. It's traditional. He wanted to take the day off. And I said, we may not be able to take Black Friday off because we may have to report something going down on Black Friday or at least Christmas or some other time. But that's the thing, is that geoengineered storms, cyber attacks, this is part of the end game strategy to get people to be terrified of dark winter. Speaking of cyber shutdowns, I don't know if you know this, but I think it was like a few weeks ago. There were enough shutdowns. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook was down for a while, and I remember Ron Patton, who's my producer, coming in and saying, All of these are down. YouTube's down, and it was a very interesting day because a lot of what we do, our production comes from YouTube. And I was feeling a bit sarcastic. I was thinking to myself, what next? What's going to happen next? And then last night, as I wrapped up the show, as I wrapped up Ground Zero, I got word that Donald Trump fired his head of election cybersecurity because of what he said. He said something, in effect, he said, well, these elections were the most secure I've ever seen. And Trump goes, bye, bam. And, of course, this is still going on. This is an ongoing thing. Even though the media is oblivious to the possibility of voter fraud, what bothers me is not the fact that, that voter fraud can be proven or disproven. I think the oblivious nature of the media right now is what is most irritating. Not that I think that the election was fraudulent. I think there's precedent to investigate that the election was fraudulent. And that's the problem. We lose, I think we lose syntax. We lose context here because people are hearing hoax or fraud, or they're throwing these words, false flag. These are all dirty shirt terms. They're magic words again because people always tend to have their judgments. The idea of fake news, that's another magic word or a magic call. I think we need to stop this. I think we need to start understanding that, there are exceptions at times that we need to look into, exceptions to the rule, exceptions to the story. And that's why I'm here, because I see these exceptions. I see precedent. I see a reason to question. And what bothers me, and I've said this before, is there is no curiosity from the media over whether or not this is the case. They want to be satisfied with the idea that what they have done is they have elected the guy that they want, or they have selected the guy. And I don't know. I just think that we are in a situation where people want so badly to get things out of the way and move on. But what are we moving towards? We need to understand that. I mean, look, if our cyber infrastructure fails, so does mommy and daddy's ability to go shopping. Because I don't think anybody's going to be leaving their house to go. I mean, if they do, come on. How's that not going to be a super spreader event if we're all going to be crammed into a Walmart trying to find that extra, video game or whatever it is kids like, their fidget spinners or whatever they use. I'm just saying that would be, Black Friday would be a super spreader event. All the money exchanged, all the people together. It's not, it's not like an Antifa rally where nobody gets sick. I just say that, and of course a Trump rally where everybody gets sick. So what's going to happen if you're going to go and you're going to push and shove and get next to people and at a Black Friday get together? So I would say this: thanks to COVID-19, thanks to the local governors, thanks to all the people that are demanding some sort of curtailment, Thanksgiving and soon enough Christmas is going to go bye-bye. Hanukkah is going to go bye-bye. All of these religious holidays are done. All of these holidays where the family gets together, we have this camaraderie, hopefully, going to be gone, done. Those who rule over us, and I express rule, not govern, they rule, of course. Far too many states now, municipalities, they've all concluded that this is how it's going to be. And the thing that's most interesting is there is no fight back. There's no, hey, wait a minute, that's not good. There's no resistance, and there isn't anyone who questions these what I call whimsical edicts. They're all arbitrary. They're all, spur of the moment. They're all on a whim. There's something I've talked about before called the whim as opposed to the wisdom, and I think there are more whims being considered than wisdom. There's more ignorance from the media about these things and how it harms people. How, they say that they follow science. Well, there's one part of the science they're not following, and that's the psychology, the psychiatric science, the idea that people are not happy being cooped up. They're not happy not being able to be social. There are vague promises coming from the media. There are vague promises coming from our leadership. They tell us, I don't even know if they're promises anymore. They sound like threats. Nothing's going to be open until next year. We're going to be stuck. First they tell us 2 weeks to, flatten the curve. Then it becomes months and months and months. And now, since they've shut down, many of these states are in lockdown. Some of them are even becoming regional with their health. Are we to believe, actually, that this is going to just be, the 10 days or the 14 days or whatever. I don't think so. I think that this is going to be carried again. It's going to be carried a lot longer. And even though they say they have a vaccine that's 95 or 96% effective, it's not going to be distributed equally. And even then, why would anybody want to put something in their bodies that has been pushed through and rushed through without, having a second thought of what it might do to your body, what it might do to your DNA? And they say, and the media says, oh, that's all conspiracy theory. These vaccines are not going to do anything to your DNA. However, you take a look at all of the patents, and we've reviewed these patents on my show. You take a look at the patents, you take a look at who's involved, you take a look at who's investing, Bill Gates, Dr. Fauci. All of these individuals are the ones that are holding this vaccine as a carrot. And people are either going to take the vaccine, or they're going to refuse it. There's going to be a lot of people fighting this. And of course, we have the religious, we've had Anthony Patch on the show. We have the religious groups that are saying that they look at this as being something like the mark of the beast. And, that's when it gets really tenuous, because, if you're saying that you're not going to take the vaccine because of religious beliefs, they can immediately say, well, who cares about your religious beliefs? This is something that needs to be done, and you need to do it. And are you going to conform to this? That's the question. In defiance of all previous medical experience, the COVID pandemic has muzzled the population. They give you these bank robber masks, okay, that you're wearing. It's driven families into being apart from one another. It's forced elderly couples to die alone. That's something that I think is really tragic. The idea that I had somebody call my program, and she was telling me that her father and her mother have brain cancer, and they're told that they can't go visit them in the rest home. And I said, well, if you can visit them, I would visit them. Nothing holds you back from your human dignity. Nothing holds you back from what it means to being human. And I think a lot of people are, they're surrendering their humanity. They're punishing school children with false promises of, remote learning when they can't learn and they can't have the social structure. I talked with a friend of mine whose young son, 8 years old. I said to him, do you prefer doing your schoolwork online, or would you rather go to school? And he goes, I'd rather go to school because I have no social interaction with any of my friends. And he says, and that makes me very unhappy. Another thing about this young man is that he has had reactions before to vaccines, and I would hate to be his parents, because they will have to go through a number of problems just to satiate the authorities and say, hey, he can't take this vaccine. He'll have repercussions. He'll have side effects. And I think that's the problem. That's the science. That's the science that they wish to ignore. That's the science that they wish to say, hey, it doesn't matter what will happen to you physically. It doesn't matter what's going to happen to you mentally. We're the scientists. We're the experts. We know. And yet the media is oblivious, and there are exceptions to everything, and they're ignoring those exceptions because they're selfish, and they want the power, and they continue to hold the power, and they're taking it away from you and me. And I'm very serious when I say this. This is not conspiracy theory. It has nothing to do with conspiracy theory. It has nothing to do with whether you wear the mask or socially separate or anything. It has everything to do with human dignity. It has everything to do with being a human being. And what they're doing is they're trying to separate us, and they want us to be more like machines. They want us to think like machines, but you're a human being, and you got to realize that you have value. You need to value what you have. I'm Clyde Lewis. You're watching Channel Zero. We'll be back with more. Don't go away. Hey guys, it's Clyde. Listen, I want to talk to you very frankly about the increasing civil unrest we're seeing these days. You can't turn on the news without hearing about more riots, violence, looting, killings, lawlessness, and mayhem. We also have to be concerned about power outages, epidemics, and quarantines, along with natural disasters that break supply chains and cut off store access. Sadly, I think the worst is yet to come, and the crescendo will be quite painful. However, I want to focus your attention on what you can do to survive. Priority one, in times like these, you have to make sure that you have enough food to eat, if and when the system falls apart. If you know me, you know I fully endorse My Patriot Supply. They're the only source I personally use and trust to get through these tough times ahead. You should too. Right now, you can save $100 off a 4-week emergency food supply of delicious, nutritious meals the whole family will love. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com to get your food kits today. The future is uncertain, and I urge you to prepare by going to preparewithgroundzero.com and get ready now. That's preparewithgroundzero.com. Have you noticed that well-known and controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored on the internet by corporate and political interests? This is Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero Radio. And in order to counter against the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digitalized playground called Aftermath.media. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring videos, movies, audio clips, archive shows, ebooks, e-magazines, documents, and so much more. Our news aggregator, Nucifer, provides current news relating to many of the topics we cover. We'll also be hosting other Ground Zero-friendly podcasts like Into the Parabnormal with Jeremy Scott and The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. Aftermath.media has a social media platform along with a chat room to interact with many of our listeners. And about once a month, you can chat with me about anything. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are now available. The monthly subscription for Aftermath.media is only $9.99 a month. This includes exclusive access to our library and Ground Zero archive podcasts. If you're just interested in having access to the archive podcast, it's only $4.99 a month. So sign up today by going to Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media. Welcome back to Channel Zero. I'm Clyde Lewis. I don't know what it takes to convince people that the Constitution is very important, that constitutional rights are very important. But then again, I mean, back in the 1990s, I wrote an article called The Harm Principle, and it was published in the Idaho Observer. It was published in several newspapers in the West, Intermountain West, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming. And I said that there would come a time where things like diseases would somehow curtail our constitutional rights. And then, of course, around the same time, or just after I wrote that, there was a TV version of The Stand that was released, and people were watching that. And I figured, I don't know if it's ever going to get that bad, but you just can't imagine how bad it is. But in The Stand, at least, people fought. People said no. People said, this doesn't have to be this way. There are different ways that we can approach this. But it just seems like it's a monstrous disgrace, made even worse by its supine acceptance of what is going on with dire consequences that we can't even see yet. I've talked about retrocausality many times, saying that we're preparing for something that's already happened. They know what's coming, and so that's why they're pushing us. And I think a lot of it has to do, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, a lot of it has to do with this pro-Marxist, Chinese, communist ideal that they want us to embrace. And they want us to embrace it because they have to keep up with us, and they want to be able to put us in our place so that we don't have to get ahead. We're no longer exceptional. And with COVID-19 and, all this other stuff, I mean, look, once you're wearing or the concealing, once you wear the mask and everything, it's prima facie proof of criminal intent. It's the idea that, keeping people in like this cult-like attitude, this idea of a dangerous cult, this irresponsible self-aggrandizing. Dr. Anthony Fauci and other experts that we seem to have this, they are our saviors attitude, apotheosis, I guess you could call it. The last of, you take a look at all of it, and when you wear a mask, when you do this, you're accepting that authority. But you're also have this willingness to, write it out, even though you're tired of it. You're holding two different opinions at once. And that's called doublethink. And that's something that George Orwell warned us about when, he said that, holding two opinions at once is very, very confusing. And that's what the party does. That's what Big Brother does. Unless something dramatic happens, newly created oligarchs will never, ever let go of their power unless we demand it. And I'm not saying, be careless. I'm not saying be irresponsible. What I'm saying is that some of these mandates, these edicts, they don't make any sense. And I think what we can chalk it up to is hysterical overreaction to the novel coronavirus, the weaponizing by political extremists in order to change our laws. And of course, the media always remains oblivious to all of it and fact checks everything to the point of banality. The media has now somehow spoken with one voice as it gaslights the population with that party line. We're all now living in this unconstitutional country, and we never had it so good. We do it for you. We're doing the neo-Marxist reset that I've talked about. And I talked about it in May, and now everybody's finally, it trended when Justin Trudeau made a statement to his people in Canada saying they are ready for the reset. Boris Johnson said, we're ready for the reset. Angela Merkel said that they're ready for the reset. And Joe Biden, I promise you, once he takes the Oval, if he takes the Oval, he's going to say the same thing. Kamala Harris is going to say the same thing, except she's more draconian when she believes that she can take measures to tell you what to eat, tell you what to put in your body, tell you what to, who you can be with, who you can't be with. And that's the thing, is that if they tell you who you can and cannot be with, if they tell you what holidays that you are supposed to celebrate and ones you don't, they're easily going to remove them all. And I remember back in the day I used to say, there's no war on Christmas. And there really wasn't. Look, if we're all going to get all petty and we're all going to get all goofed up because someone says happy holidays, that's just not the problem. But the problem now is that they've removed it completely. And that's why I tell people that the minute they tell you you can't take time off for Christmas, the minute they tell you they don't want you to celebrate Christmas, is when we do have a war on Christmas. That is the real war. But yet now, I don't hear anybody talking about the real war on Christmas. They'd much rather get all petty and kind of, asinine arguments about, well, somebody said happy holidays to me, and I'd rather them say Merry Christmas. They're taking the Christ out of Christmas. They have not only taken the Christ out of Christmas, they have taken the family out of Christmas. They have taken it all out, okay? So now you got nothing. It's crystal clear. You have absolutely nothing now. So, you're lucky to even get a happy whatever from anybody this Christmas or this holiday season. The problem here, and Ron just sent me some information during the break. He said that the Great Reset, this group, this World Economic Forum group, is actually having an impromptu meeting today at Davos. They were supposed to postpone their meeting in January, but they're having an emergency meeting today, and I don't know what it's about. But it's certainly interesting that, what they're doing is they're trying to bring about the transformation of society, resulting in permanent restrictions on fundamental liberties and mass surveillance. And, they're looking at entire sectors right now, sacrificing everything to boost monopolies and hegemony of pharmaceutical companies, corporations, high-tech data giants, Amazon, Google, major global chains, the blockchain, digital payments, cashless society, all this happening, they want to push it through as soon as possible. And they have said that they have nothing, they have just this small window of opportunity. Now, why is it so quick they have a small window of opportunity? They need to get those that are, actually the exchange of power now. If Trump decides to concede and they bring Joe Biden in, they are going to start the preparations for the movement towards this Great Reset, using COVID-19 lockdowns and restrictions to push through this transformation. The Great Reset is being rolled out under the guise of what is called the Fourth Industrial Revolution, in which older enterprises are to be driven out, driven to bankruptcy, or absorbed into monopolies, effectively shutting down huge sections of the pre-COVID-19 economy. This is a scarcity push. This is something that Karl Marx talked about. Economies are being restructured, and many jobs are going to be carried out by artificial intelligence. Sure, you're going to have nothing. You're going to be out of a job. They're going to take away property. They're going to take away automobiles. They're going to take away whatever they feel they need to take away. And they're going to say it's for the betterment of mankind. Then, of course, the push for mass surveillance. You need mass surveillance, right? We need the contact tracers. We need the Stasi. We need, I call them the Stasi. This contact tracing is all part of the plan. Excuse me. Klaus Schwab, he's the guy behind this reset. And I mean, what happened the last time we trust some German dude telling us how to live? It's like this is the weirdest thing that Klaus Schwab gets in there and he's doing his very, very deep accent, this German accent that he gives, and he's talking about the reset. And I'm thinking, what is this going to do to us as people? Well, he tells you flat out. He says, we want to bring together the physical, digital, and biological identities. They want to bring our physical and digital identities together. And this is exactly what Joe Biden was proposing, a medical surveillance state. He proposes all of this because dark winter. He calls it dark winter, and that is the chilling part. It's not just dark winter, it's pitch black winter. There's a lot right now that can happen between now and January, and they're going to make sure they're going to punish us until then. And then, of course, we'll start hearing about breakthroughs, the light at the end of the tunnel. And, of course, Klaus Schwab is saying, well, I endorse, what does he say? He says he endorses all of these draconian measures. And another thing is that the media will say, well, this is all conspiracy theory. Don't believe what you're being told. And yet I can go to a magazine shop. I can go to where magazines are sold. I can find a copy of Time magazine, and on the cover of Time magazine, I see them reconstructing planet Earth. They have scaffolding, all these things on the cover, and it says, what is that great reset? It trended on Twitter because of what Justin Trudeau said about Canada starting the Great Reset. It's everywhere, and yet the media discredits it. The media says, oh, no, Joe Biden is not going to be part of this reset. It's all a lie. But see, these globalists are hailing the arrival of things like implanted devices that will likely help to communicate thoughts, track people. You don't even have to express anything verbally. All you have to do is think it. Maybe your phone on your other end, you can probably be directly in your phone. They have this new voice-to-skull technology we've talked about where they're able now to have it directly placed, sound or whatever, directly placed into your skull. Now, this has been around with DARPA. The military has had this ability. They've been able to put extremely low frequencies into the brains of people, trigger them. Some of them turn out to be mass murderers, and everybody says, oh, that's just conspiracy theory. That doesn't. I mean, see, that's the thing. It isn't a conspiracy theory when they openly tell you that this is what they're doing. You see, the media can spin. The fact checkers can do what they do, but the country, our country, is enamored right now, a lot of them, with their agreed-upon choice for president-elect and his plans for strict guidelines to combat COVID-19 with the Stasi-19, with these compliance officers, or what they call them, compliance ambassadors. So the question needs to be asked right now, what will happen to our social and personal identity once the reset comes into play? I mean, is it going to be eradicated in the quest to commodify and standardize human behavior, to commodify and standardize every single thing we do? Everything you do with your family, everything you do with your loved ones, everything you do on the streets. I mean, this is what the billionaire class wants. They are pushing this agenda because they think they can own nature. They think that they can own all humans. They think they can control nature and control humans both with geoengineering, with genetically modified foods, whether it's geoengineering the atmosphere. I mean, you've seen it. We've seen it now, genetically modifying soil microbes, genetically modifying the food you eat, biosynthesized lab meat. I mean, I've talked about it as a novelty before, but now we're getting serious. Now we're getting to the idea that no more where you'll be eating real foods. You'll be eating these genetically modified foods because now they can create them in a lab and they taste like real food, but they're not. You don't get the nutritive value. You don't get a number of things with this stuff. This is how we are. It's not a conspiracy theory, guys. And the only thing I can tell you is that the way that we can combat this is with information. Now, I have been shouting from the rooftops. I've been shouting outside the margins, telling people to spread the word about what I talk about. And I think that, and I hate to use this term because it's so cliche, we need a missionary effort. We need people to be exposed to what I talk about, to be exposed to the conversations that we have on my program, Ground Zero, Aftermath.media, of course, we provide you with a library of documented evidence. We provide you with a library of video. We provide you with a library of some of my past shows that have been consistent, and you can listen to those by going to Aftermath.media. It's $9.99 a month for the full effect, of the full Monty, okay? So we really urge you to subscribe. We urge you to listen. We urge you to participate. We urge you to get the word out. It's so important that you do this. Thank you for watching Channel Zero. We're going to be back with more, so keep it right here. Don't go away. Thanks a lot.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. Listen, I want to talk to you very frankly about the increasing civil unrest we're seeing these days. You know, you can't turn on the news without hearing about more riots, violence, looting, killings, lawlessness, and mayhem. We also have to be concerned about power outages, epidemics, and quarantines, along with natural disasters that break supply chains and cut off store access. Sadly, I think the worst is yet to come, and the crescendo will be quite painful. However, I want to focus your attention on what you can do to survive. Priority 1, in times like these, you have to make sure that you have enough food to eat, if and when the system falls apart. If you know me, you know I fully endorse My Patriot Supply. They're the only source I personally use and trust to get through these tough times ahead. You should too. Right now, you can save $100 off a 4-week emergency food supply of delicious, nutritious meals the whole family will love. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com to get your food kits today. The future is uncertain, and I urge you to prepare by going to preparewithgroundzero.com and get ready now. That's preparewithgroundzero.com. Welcome back to Channel Zero. I'm Clyde Lewis. You know, I know a lot of people have been watching the news and they're realizing that, that Joe Biden, they keep telling you that Joe Biden is the official president. He's president-elect, but, of course, Trump is challenging that. And so, no, there's no real declared winner of the 2020 presidential election. And this could go on for a long time. But that's not stopped him from forming a coronavirus task force. The task force is composed of supporters of increased government control. That's the bottom line. It's like increased government control. I mean, if you thought that Trump was a tyrant or a dictator, wait till you get Joe Biden. I mean, one idea Biden and his task force are considering is a 4 to 6 week nationwide lockdown. Okay. However, supporting a nationwide lockdown would actually violate Biden's campaign pledge to listen to the science. I mean, look, they tell you to listen to the science, but this is not the science. I mean, the science they want you to look into is climate change and restrictions. Those are the only science that they listen to. The evidence regarding lockdowns is so overwhelming, the evidence against it. I mean, even the World Health Organization had said they don't recommend lockdowns. They never have recommended lockdowns. Even Anthony Fauci said that he didn't even endorse the lockdowns, that there needs to be something else that we do. that lockdowns do more harm than good. It's like whack-a-mole, lockdown, not lockdown, not lockdown, lockdown. It's this Groundhog Day, scenario, this Mobius striptease that they want us to be a part of here. Scientists, the experts, I guess, that they talk about, these scientists, these experts that are climate change and adherence to this lockdown stuff, they know nothing about economics. Okay, these scientists that are telling you to do this, they know nothing about economy. They don't even know how to run a government. But we all are now being told that we should surrender our dignity to these technocrats, these so-called experts. Lockdowns, we all know, are causing a lot of depression right now. Suicides are on the rise. They're not talking about the suicide rate. Suicides are claiming a lot of people, in fact, a lot more people now than COVID-19. We look at increased domestic violence calls, alcohol and drug abuse. People are abusing drugs now and alcohol more than ever. And see, that's the thing. They can keep the liquor stores open. It doesn't bother people. COVID-19 will not get you in a liquor store, but yet they'll close down bars and restaurants, and they'll tell you that you can't drink after 10 p.m. Lockdowns also cause more people to stay home and not go to hospitals or doctors when they feel sick with other symptoms of something else. Or they're afraid they have COVID-19, they're afraid to get tested. I remember I was at the doctor's a week ago and I got tested, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, if I get tested, I know I'm going to have COVID-19. Well, I didn't have it, and that was a relief. It was a relief to know this because it alleviated a lot of the stress, alleviated all of the, I guess, hypochondria that most people are getting, including myself, about COVID-19. But see, that's the thing, is that people will not obtain medical assistance in a timely manner because of COVID-19. And not only that, but elective surgeries and other things are not happening because they're saying, well, the beds, there are not enough beds for people. Joe Biden right now is working with governors, mayors, and other state and local officials to create a de facto national mask mandate. Wearing masks in places that you wouldn't normally wear them, like in your office when you're alone, in your car when you're alone. Biden has also declared that he will mandate mask wearing in all federal buildings and for people traveling interstate. A mask mandate for interstate travel would mean that you will be required to wear a mask on airplanes, trains, and even when driving your own car if you cross state lines. They will monitor you. Biden has also proposed raising an army of culturally competent contact tracers. Again, as I said before, and as I said last night, this is our version. This is the American Stasi, and that's what is happening. According to the University of California, San Francisco, which is helping train these contact tracers in California, they said this. This is what our American Stasi is allegedly tasked to do. Ask questions related to topics that can be sensitive, including health, work, living arrangements, and food resources. And they're doing this to identify someone who should be quarantined. These contact tracers could also be able to enforce mask wearing or other mandates that are basically issued on a whim, including a vaccine mandate. They will go to see if you're vaccinated. They will check up on you. And this is to ensure that those who refuse to comply are put on a list, they're identified, and they are labeled belligerent combatants. And this is another frightening thing. Biden is not the only politician who is authorizing these, who isn't giving these authoritarian solutions to coronavirus. The government of Washington, D.C. is now considering authorizing vaccinations of children without parental consent. Now, this ignores the science that some people will have a negative reaction, kids will have a negative reaction to a, quote, generally safe vaccine. So individuals should make their own decisions in consultation with a physician, but this is not going to happen, not in every case. I mean, I'm sure they can line up kids at school to get the vaccination without you knowing about it if they decide to open school for children to be together. I mean, this is important, right? The importance of consultation with your physician, the importance of consultation with your parents, because we're dealing with a vaccine that is being rushed into production for political reasons, of course, and even the manufacturers admit that it's going to have some serious side effects. So are you going to take that chance? Are you that scared of COVID-19? Lockdowns, masks, all these other authoritarian measures do little to nothing to promote health. Instead, they erode freedom and they create their own health problems. Or various health problems that you don't even think about. All you're thinking about is COVID-19. They think that they can bring history to a close. They think that they can reinvent the wheel by reshaping what it means to be human. And they think that they can achieve all of this by 2030. It's a cold, dystopian vision that wants to eradicate thousands of years of our culture, thousands of years of world culture, hundreds of years of tradition, hundreds of years of practices. They want to just get rid of them overnight. And somebody called my program last night, and he was passionate, and he says, if it's not broken, why fix it? And it's true. I mean, we've been doing well, relatively well as Americans for some time now. But now we've seen the viciousness, the anger, the hate, the problems in the streets. But who's creating those problems? Who's allowing this complete, utter ignorance of laws or of controls and these things that should be part of a constitutional republic? Who's ignoring these things? We are if we don't speak out. We are if we don't spread the word. We are if we believe the mainstream media, who is oblivious to everything. You know, back in June, I remember I was doing a lot of interviews, and I was talking about this great reset on my program, and everybody thought I was crazy. And I was told that I was being a conspiracy theorist, I was being an alarmist, and that I'm peddling my food or whatever, and that fear sells. Well, it's not about being afraid. It's about being prepared. And it's about understanding what it means, what common sense tells you about being prepared and preparing your families. There are a lot of cynical people out there that say, well, if it's not affecting me, it's not happening. Well, you know what? If it's not affecting you, you have nothing to worry about. But there are people, I would say people at ground zero, that are going through a lot of problems. They're going through, economic problems. They're not getting the money they have for unemployment. And, back when I was first telling people about this, I said, we need to get food in the house, be prepared, go shopping. Look, if you don't want to buy, I do this food pitch for preparewithgroundzero.com. It's a site where you can go and get low-cost food from My Patriot Supply. And, of course, it benefits the show. It benefits me. It benefits my staff because, we need to make a living. We need to live. We need to make insurance payments like everybody else, and we need to do this. But what we do with what we have is we take a lower cut so that you can have the benefit of getting quality things at a low price. I always say stack it deep, sell it cheap. We do this with the show. We do this with everything else. And if I tell you go out and buy, I'm not doing it because I want you to fill my paycheck. I'm doing it because I want you to pay attention. I want you to have that stuff available. And I said, look, if you don't even want to buy my food, okay, if you don't want to go and buy my food from My Patriot Supply, when you go shopping, you need to take extra care to buy one item that you're going to eat and one item set aside that you can have in your pantry, so you have something set aside that you're saving food as well, just like you save your money. Because there are lines right now in Texas where people are waiting to get their government cheese, waiting to get their government-funded foods, and they're running dry. Pantries are being pressed to the limits because of Thanksgiving meals. Nobody's going to shop. Nobody is shopping for Thanksgiving meal. I went shopping, a couple of days ago, and I wasn't even thinking about getting a turkey or stuffing or anything like that for Thanksgiving. All I thought is that not only do I have food sources that I purchased that have 25-year shelf life, but I also have food that I set aside that we have still in the house that we can eat. That way, if we are stuck, which we are here in Oregon, we're basically, today's the first day of our lockdown, then we'll be able to provide for the family and be able to survive. It's about survival. It's not about preparing for nuclear war or an asteroid hit. It's for these very things that are happening right now. So, like I said, I talked about the reset in June. I warned you of dark winter in August. I said it's going to be a very dark winter. And when Joe Biden said dark winter is coming, I knew right away that was some deep state operation that they had planned right after 9/11. They didn't know how to implement it. They didn't know when to implement it. Now's the time to implement it. And it all focuses on what is going to happen on Black Friday. Between Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Christmas, there are going to be some interesting events that are going to take place, I feel. Who knows what they might be. Because people say, well, you made a prediction and nothing happened. Nothing happened that affected you. If it affects you, then you know what happened. If the media says so, does that make it real? Because they're ignoring the fact that the reset is out there waiting to be turned on. They're ignoring the fact that there's precedent to look into this election. They're ignoring a lot of things. Why? Because it's inconvenient for their agenda. And I will be a straight shooter with you no matter what. I will tell you, I have nothing to lose, and I certainly don't have that much to gain, because it seems to me that a lot of people don't want to spread the word about this, but they really need to. And I implore you to please spread the word, spread the message, and talk about what we talk about. Because I've had people say, well, wow, what you talk about is different than what everybody else talks about. Yes, because we try to be ahead of the game. We try to get you that information. That's why I'm doing these TV shows. That's why I'm doing more video. That's why I'm doing more extensive shows. I'm doing these chat get-togethers at Aftermath.media. We have our own digital playground at Aftermath.media to protect you, to protect our material, so that you can do that research as well and not think that this is some crazy nonsense and some political undermining. This is your reality. You can have a republic if you want it. You just got to want it bad enough. I'm Clyde Lewis. We'll come back with more of Channel Zero. Don't go away. Hey guys, it's Clyde. Listen, I want to talk to you very frankly about the increasing civil unrest we're seeing these days. You can't turn on the news without hearing about more riots, violence, looting, killings, lawlessness, and mayhem. We also have to be concerned about power outages, epidemics, and quarantines, along with natural disasters that break supply chains and cut off store access. Sadly, I think the worst is yet to come, and the crescendo will be quite painful. However, I want to focus your attention on what you can do to survive. Priority one, in times like these, you have to make sure that you have enough food to eat, if and when the system falls apart. If you know me, you know I fully endorse My Patriot Supply. They're the only source I personally use and trust to get through these tough times ahead. You should too. Right now, you can save $100 off a 4-week emergency food supply of delicious, nutritious meals the whole family will love. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com to get your food kits today. The future is uncertain, and I urge you to prepare by going to preparewithgroundzero.com and get ready now. That's preparewithgroundzero.com.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to Channel Zero. I'm Clyde Lewis. The second wave, that's what they're calling it. Others are calling it the third wave. But the real question remains the same as it was 10 months ago. Where are people catching this virus? Why all of a sudden this intense wave? I mean, there's no doubt that what they're doing is failing. And that's the thing. I was having this conversation with somebody in a car yesterday, and they were telling me, they said everywhere they go, they see people wearing masks. Everywhere they go, they see the mandate at the stores. They see the mandate everywhere else. And so they can't make that lame excuse that people aren't wearing their masks, that they're defying. Because a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are believing. But that's the thing. is that whatever is going on here, they say that that what they're doing is important, but it's a monumental failure. You understand this? What is going on is a monumental failure. All the lockdowns, what they've done, and then, of course, they blame it on Donald Trump. Well, here's the thing, guys. There are more leaders than just Donald Trump that are behind the failure, the monumental failure of what we're experiencing right now. And so the bad news here is that this whole situation, this whole idea of the death tolls, it's all being scapegoated because those experts that have been talking to us have basically said that we need to do this and do this and do this, and it's all to forego your privacy. It's all to forego legacy systems. It's all preparing you for the Great Reset. And I was looking at a Wall Street Journal article. They wanted to find out, and I think it was on Drudge today, they wanted to find out where the record amount of new cases are coming from across the country. And they're saying that most of the states, get a load of this, that have had the most draconian lockdowns are the ones that are having the biggest problems. And yet the media is oblivious to it. The science says otherwise. Here in the United States, we don't have that much detail. We just have, like I say, the media to rely on, and then, of course, people like me who do the research. New York, for example, a senior advisor for public health estimates, this is from the Wall Street Journal, 10% of cases come from travel, 5% come from gatherings, and 5% come from institutional settings. The rest, well, that isn't clear, and they won't tell you what it is. There's no visibility. There's no transparency. There's nothing. I'm looking over this article right now. Apparently, Jay Varma, senior advisor for public health at the New York City's mayor's office, has said the vast majority of the remainder, somewhere probably around 50% or more, we don't have any way to directly attribute their source of infection. What does that tell you? I'll tell you what it tells me. This is still a gain-of-function exercise where they're releasing into the public this disease, and you just happen to be the unlucky one to be in that vicinity where they're releasing it. This is something that, the data can easily be skewed by statistical distortions to make you believe. I mean, we had a guy who called us the other night, last night, on Beyond Zero, telling us that we were irresponsible, that we were this, we were that. When I asked him some direct questions about what is the mortality rate for COVID-19, I mean, how many people survive? And he says 20% survive, all the rest die. I go, that's not true. 96 to 98% recover from COVID-19. They don't tell you that. So what about all the deaths? Well, of course people are going to die, underlying conditions. I go, what's the median age? I said to him, what's the median age for people who die? And he says, there's no median age. I go, there is. It's 78 years of age. People with underlying conditions die, of course, and there's some exceptions to the rule. But see, this is the thing, is that economic downturn, the destruction of everything that we have fought for, and this has nothing to do with Trump, it has everything to do with the political subterfuge that they are using to bring about this new reset. And they will go, the ends justify the means for these people. This technocratic transformation is currently underway. Right now it's new to people. Right now it can be denied. Right now it can be shut down. But I can tell you that this is not a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy against the republic of this country. It's the conspiracy against the Constitution. It is so openly there. It is so obvious that it's there. All you have to do is go to the World Economic Forum's website and see what their endgame strategies are, to understand what endgame strategies are and how you play a part in these endgame strategies. If it's not going to be about COVID-19, they're going to move it directly into climate change. They're going to move it directly into these other whims where they're going to remove legacy systems. Legacy systems, meaning systems that you've relied on. Things that we've relied on for many years. Traditions, ideas, foods, culture. No culture. No good food. No quality food. Geoengineered food, no quality drugs, no quality supplements, nothing. It's all going to be across the board, putting our country in the same category as a third world country. This is what America has asked for. If you believe that there are 76 million people out there that wanted this, if you believe that those millions of people that voted wanted this, I don't know what to tell you. If this is what they want, if they're tired of how America is, if they think America sucks, or they think that America has gone in such a bad way that we need to change everything we believe in, to move more towards a socialist country. I can't tell you it's good or bad because I've lived in a socialist country. And like I said, I had a conversation with Rob Davenport, who runs Aftermath.media, and he's in Canada where they have socialist, they're a socialist country. And he said, and he agrees with me, socialism is okay. It's great until it isn't. And that's exactly how you should look at it. Sure, you're going to be getting your free money, and sure, you're going to get your free food. You're not going to own anything, but that's okay. You don't have to worry anymore because it's all going to be taken care of for you. All you got to do is shut up, stay home, and do what you're told. Dr. Fauci even said in an interview that, here in America, we're all independent and we don't like to be told what to do. But he says, now you need to do what you're told. And then he laughed about it. So the American people need to do what they're told. The American people have done what they're told. And look what we're getting. We're looking at, the same problems as before, even increased problems when people are masking up, socially distancing, because it's a requirement in a lot of places. Why? Liability. They can't lie to you and say that those who believe in liability aren't pushing the issue of wearing masks and socially distancing. I have to do it in my building every day when I come into work. I have to do it when I'm at the store. The only time I don't wear a mask is when I'm home with my wife watching television or having dinner with her. That's the only time anymore. And talking to you here because we're with like 3 or 4 people. So, get a clue. Whatever they're doing is not working. Whatever they're doing is a setup so that you'll be begging them for this new reset. You'll be begging them for this new form of government. You'll be demanding this new form of government. But don't worry. Don't worry. You don't have to worry your pretty little head off because, look, you're going to be propertyless. You're going to be getting that paycheck for not doing any work. You're going to be sitting around doing nothing. You're going to be happy in this open prison of mass unemployment, state dependency, track and chip. I go down the nanotech, DNA-altering vaccines that are going to, guarantee that you're going to be healthy. We're going to be in a cashless society. And I know that, that's a conspiracy theory that's around forever. People have been talking about it. But take a look at how these cryptocurrencies are doing. Look at how well they're doing now because they know that the move is on. Now, I'm not saying that cryptocurrencies are going to be a replacement for cash, but they certainly are going to be part of this whole situation we're in right now. Max vaccinations, dehumanization. These are all the things that we're going to be seeing happening. Restaurants, diners, all shut down. Takeouts. The reason why is because they can't contact trace effectively if you're in a restaurant. Europe is already seeing this. France, this requirement has been going on for some time now. They're having problems. I mean, when you look at what is really going on, it's almost as if they don't want us to be healthy. It's almost as if people want their rights to be infringed upon. And they're saying, well, what do you want? Do you want to go to violence in the streets? No. That's not what we need to do. We need to demand accountability and transparency. No more we're relying on experts and we're supposed to take it at face value. We need to educate ourselves on what it is that we're dealing with. We need to know what the herd immunity threshold is for our area where we live. We need to know what the R-naught factor is with most of these COVID-19 spreads. We need to know what their endgame strategies are. No more doing death tolls and Trump sucks reports on CNN. They need to tell us exactly what's going on. No more of this, let's feel sorry for the people that are dying. We know that death is happening. People are dying of all sorts of diseases, but it's not a reason to shut down and ruin our economy. These Orwellian rules, they tell us, are for everyone's own good. And at some point, despite the fact that we're just weeks away from having a vaccine, we need to understand that our leaders, unless we say something now or do something now, these leaders of these various governments are not going to pull back the reins of power that we've been giving them. We've been giving them carte blanche to do everything and make every law and every edict happen, call out the Stasi, you name it. But they're not being held accountable for the law and order they're ignoring when our streets are being torn down and our buildings are being boarded up and we're turning into a slum. So please, spread the word about Ground Zero. Go to groundzeromedia.com. Sign up for Aftermath.media. It's only $4.99 for the archive shows and $9.99 for the entire library. It's really important that you sign up. It keeps these shows going. We grow with you. You're growing with us. And we're very proud to be giving you the information we give you here at Channel Zero and all the other shows that we're involved with here. Thank you so much for joining us today. on Channel Zero. We'll be back next week with another episode. You're amazing. I'm very grateful to have you in my corner. Have a good day, everybody.